I carved out the words insane.
I started hearing voices.
I never felt I was one stable person.
Now they're going to get me.
Is it just schizophrenia?
I started losing a lot of hope.
And then I was taken to the hospital
I
by
almost
the
wanted
police.
Just trust me.
to be psychotic again.
Weird, she doesn't work, she's a bum, you know, I drugged me up, told that I was court ordered to take the injection.
I'm participating in this documentary because I, like millions of people, suffered for most of my adult life from symptoms that are called manic depression. And having spent over 20 years in and out of conventional Western psychiatrist's office, being given almost every pill I think that they have in their arsenal, and discovering that none of them really worked, certainly not in the long term. So I went on and off the drugs for years and had episodes and depressions and manic episodes. And finally, after a last spectacular manic episode, had really had enough and did a great deal of homework in trying to find alternate ways to balance out my system naturally rather than throwing synthetic drugs on top of symptoms of an unbalanced system. And it's working. It's been over 2 years. A long, slow process of learning new things just about every 2 weeks or month. Touch wood somewhere. No symptoms, no ups, no downs, which is in my life nothing short of a miracle.
Doctors who believe what they're saying you can't get well and you'll never be better, makes it so much worse because you're already in a terrible state. And, and the number, I mean, every shrink I've been to said, oh, you won't get better. The guy at the hospital going, you'll be back, and you'll be having shock treatment next time. And I just sit there in the bin watching these poor old ladies go down and come back. And I just thought, oh, God,
I know.
And,
like
and
what,
so they don't say there's hope. They, in fact, eliminate hope.
I think they install fear.
In my second year, I was in residence, and I started getting more and more depressed and suffered a lot from high anxiety. And I started getting paranoid. I thought, you know, every time people I didn't know, students I didn't know were walking by me, I'd hear the snatches of conversation from them saying, oh, isn't he this or that? Demeaning remarks. And of course they were saying nothing of the kind. They were just discussing their own business. I would try to go into class and I would be so terrified that I'd put my back towards the door and back in and sit down in the front row and just put my hands in front of my face. And again, a classic attention grabber, you know, which is exactly what I was trying to avoid. One of the things I did then, which a lot of people who come down with schizophrenia do, is I would walk aimlessly, miles and miles and miles, going nowhere in particular, just preoccupied with my own thoughts.
I started hearing voices a little bit, just a couple times. I heard voices like, I thought I was in a room full of people in my living room, and my mom and my brother were there and a bunch of other people, and I thought they were saying bad things about me, like, oh, look at her, she's so-and-so, and so I confronted my mom afterwards and, you know, said, why were you guys saying those things about me? And she said they weren't. So I ended up getting in a fight with my mom and her boyfriend, and then I was taken to the hospital by the police.
I got my compass and my eraser at school, and I carved out the words insane, and I used to color it with my pen and stamp it all over my books, and it was sort of like a premonition about what was to come. So I had a really bad break, and then I got into drugs. I did everything except